Welcome into the Corona Post Show at the MEO Rip Curl Portugal Pro, presented by Corona, and day 2 of action here in Peniche, wrapping up pretty much the way it started on an exciting note. The fans showing out all day long from dawn to dusk. They were here cheering on their favorite surfers, getting autographs, signing jerseys, the whole 9 yards. And we had some epic surf to back it up as well. Welcome into the Corona Post Show. I'm AJ McCord alongside Jesse Mendez and Peter Mel. This was a day, you guys, that just really from dawn to dusk could not ask for many better waves for these surfers, Jess.
Yes, it was a great day, very exciting, big waves on board, and we got that amazing ride from Callan in the morning, and then we went to a break, and it looked like it was almost going to be done, and then we had great action the other day as well.
Yeah, you gotta love it, right? When you're challenging the surfers, whether it be equipment, the conditions, which it was challenging today. There was moments in that lower tide, radical waves out there. Some of the most meaty, kind of almost felt like a big wave event there for a moment, which was kind of cool. I think the surfers felt that same way, but ultimately very exciting, and some upsets today too.
Kyle was talking about busting out the inflation vest. That's what he was looking for this morning. That's how big the waves were. But you talk about the upsets, and one happening this afternoon that just has to put everybody on notice, because Rio Waida, the rookie, taking down John Florence, and it's not the first world champ that he's taken down in this event alone. He sent Gabriel Medina to the elimination round yesterday. Rio telling me before his heat today, if you want to be the best, you have to surf against the best. And Jesse, he certainly did today.
Yes, no doubt. And going against John in conditions like this is very tough because he's so powerful. He's so used to this type of waters. And he just performed and put in a show. Kind of a small scoring heat total, but great surfing from him.
This is kind of the same round that we saw him falter at Sunset Beach, and he broke a board in that event as well. Broke his board early in this heat, had to change equipment. I don't know if it was actually the same exact size board, but ultimately he did have to adjust to this newer equipment, and it took him some time, and unfortunately he didn't have enough time to make the comeback. Rio kept applying the pressure, and you gotta love the rookie. He's getting such great successes here early in his career.
And the thing that was so fascinating watching this heat unfold for me was that John was the one having to adjust to Rio's game, right? John was the one who was moving away from where Rio was because he wasn't getting the waves that he wanted.
Yes, and that just shows how capable Rio is, even though he's so young and just got on tour. And he just put the best in the world into the ropes right there.
Yes, he certainly did, and he's not the only one who made a big statement today on day 2. We had the men's elimination round before making our way most of the way through the men's round of 32, but you see Rio Waida finishing with a 9.3 over John Florence with a 9.17, so we're going to see Rio in the round of 16 when we get that underway. But before we move into the round of 16, let's find out who will be joining Rio Waida. The winner of the last heat of the day is standing by with Louisa Florence.
Yeah, Iago. I was talking to you before today, and you were telling me with such confidence that you're so ready for this, 100% physically, mentally, spiritually, in all the ways. So how was it translating on this heat for you?
Yeah, that was a really tough heat, actually. Maddie's a really good surfer, and especially when the waves have a little bit of power, and he's a really solid guy. He usually never falls off his board, so I was scared to go against him for sure. But yeah, the conditions changed a lot for a heat. It was a beautiful day and sunny and some barrels, and now it's like high tide, backwashy and cloudy and foggy. So yeah, I guess you just have to be ready for anything, and I just try to surf, like trying to find the right waves, and worked out. He came really close to getting the score on the last wave, and I let him go. That was a little bit of a mistake. The wave didn't look good when I was paddling, but he ended up getting a score out of it. So that was a mistake I shouldn't have done.
Well, but you got to be your own sunshine, and we saw so many broken boards today, so many things happening. Walk me through what happened to your board. You're just like, can you show us what happened over here, guys? Look at that. That fin he took with his leg. But everything is okay for the round of 16?
Yeah, it's all good. I was a little scared when it happened. I thought I was going to maybe need stitches, but it's just a scratch, so it's all good. And then after that incident, I got my best wave, so that was a little bit of a confidence boost back, so it's good.
Amazing. A gente está aqui para falar com os brasileiros, porque não tem como negar, né, que Portugal tem um gostinho de casa, tem muito brasileiro aqui na praia. Foi uma força para te trazer aqui de novo. A galera fica até o final querendo autógrafo. Então manda teu carinho pro pessoal.
Sim, agradecer demais a galera que está no Brasil acompanhando, minha família, meus amigos. E também a galera que ficou aqui na praia o dia inteiro hoje. Deu on-hold, deu sol, deu névoa, deu água lavando todo mundo. Então aconteceu de tudo hoje. Então agradecer a galera que ficou aqui até o final para torcer por mim. Valeu.
Para ver o Iago ganhar. É isso aí. Bola para frente. Sucesso. Boa sorte. Yeah. The joke here is just like the fans, there's no way we cannot taste a little bit of Brazil here. The fans are really passionate, and they stayed through in and out of everything. Fog on hold, sun, water washing everything away, and they're here to see him winning. So there we go. A boost of energy from the round of 16. Good luck. Back to you.
Thank you, Louisa. And he's not the only Brazilian who felt the roar of the crowd and the energy that they brought with them. Joao Chianca going against Kelly Slater, the GOAT. Joao told me afterwards he hardly even wanted to look at Kelly. He didn't even want to acknowledge that he had to go against Kelly Slater in the round of 32. But Pete, you would not know that Joao had any nerves out in the water.
That's a good strategy, you know, because Kelly does like to play a little. I mean, he says he's not playing games, but we all know what's going on. And I think that's Joao. He's like, you know what? And I actually saw him in the Red Bull Athlete Zone, and he was in the corner, and he had his shawl over his head, and he was completely, you know, as much as the action was going down, he was in there having a little Zen moment, which I'd never seen before from Joao. He did a really good thing here in applying pressure to Kelly Slater. And Kelly, you know, he had some moments, but unfortunately, he bowed out once again here in the round of 32.
Yeah, and it's nice that you mentioned that he was kind of taking his time and had his towel wrapped up. He's a very energetic guy, very anxious-looking guy. So it was good that he took himself down and kind of separated himself from Kelly and just tried to play his game, and it worked his way.
Yeah, usually you see him, he's got the tunes going, and he's rocking, he's dancing around. Kind of that's generally who he is. But ultimately, he decided to do a little different strategy and kind of sit back and wait it out, and it worked to his advantage. He won the heat.
It certainly did. Taking down Kelly Slater, 12.54 for Joao Chianca. We will see him in the round of 16. I got a chance to catch up with Kelly right after Joao eliminated him from competition here at the MEO Rip Curl Portugal Pro. Some interesting insight from the GOAT. Kelly, you had to surf a really tough elimination round this morning, then come back, have to go against Joao, who's just coming off of a sunset session he was completely on fire for. What were you trying to do in that heat?
I was just trying to, in the first half, I was just trying to stay away from the priority heat, and Joao kind of stayed down with them, and that was Ethan's heat, and I just figured there weren't a lot of good waves, and the ones that did come, they'd probably spot the peak and get to, so I didn't want to have to fight them for those waves, so I stayed more to the north, and I was just trying to look for clean water. I had one left that almost opened up for me. If the third turn was if I had enough time for the third turn, it was probably a pretty good score. Somebody just went over the falls. And then I finally moved down in the last 10 minutes of my heat, and I got a 7-3. I was right there, and I really felt like it was going to happen. Like, I don't know, you get that, when you get in sync with it, you start feeling it, and I was like, okay, it's on. I'm gonna catch this guy. And then I got that 7-3, and then I had another wave came to me with priority with about 2 or 3 minutes left, and Joao was right there, and I let Joao go, and he got a 6, I think a 5 or 6, and I was like a touch deeper than him. So, you know, likely I would have got the same score. He said it was a really easy tube, and unfortunately, I didn't know my score yet, or I didn't hear it, or the watch didn't update or whatever yet, and I thought I was going to need a 6 or 7, and that wave looked like it might close out, so I just chose not to go, thinking there was some more options coming over the next 2 minutes. I could see sets coming, but yeah, it's just, you know, it's a little luck of the draw, a little bit of a wave catching contest, and I was on the wrong side of that, and Joao's been pretty in sync, even if I free surf with him a couple times, and he seemed like he was right on it with the waves, and, you know, he's kind of got that energy right now.
He does, but you're somebody who's had that energy for quite some time. Obviously, we're going into Australia next with the cut coming up. What are you thinking about? What are you processing?
I I don't know. I'm trying to keep the fire alive a little bit, to be honest with you. I'm just not, I don't have quite the psych that Joao and Jack and these guys do right now. I'm just 30-something years. I'm fighting it a little bit, to be honest. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to just let it flow and not think about it too much. But you got to have goals and desires and stuff. And I'm struggling with that a little bit. And yeah, I hate wave catching contest heats. If I get out surfed, I don't mind. If I just don't get the opportunities to catch those two waves, it really frustrates me. So, but I like the stage, you know, like if we have good waves on tour and there's just a couple of us in the water or maybe overlap heats, I love it. It's great. But you know, today was a really tough day. I knew it was gonna be a war of attrition, and I accepted that ahead of time. But you know, I didn't come out on top this afternoon. I think we could get some really good waves day after tomorrow. So I was looking forward to that if I could sneak through this heat. And I tend to relax the more I get further into a contest, and then I should really start kind of going with it. And yeah, I felt like it was going to happen at the end of that heat, and I just didn't take the decision. I didn't make the decision to take that wave as priority, and Joanne got it, and that was my wave.
For what it's worth, Joao said that he also felt the energy in the ocean towards the end of the heat coming towards you.
Yeah, it was shifting, but Joanne Daru, he's the one who got the wave that, you know, that would have been my score had I written it like him. He said, oh, he thought I won. He just came in and he thought that I had won or something. And he goes, oh, you know, good job, whatever. And I said, he goes, thanks for that wave. And I said, I should have taken it. I would have won my heat. He goes, oh, you lost? He goes, you know what? That's for the wave where you got the backdoor 10 and I went left. And I went, all right, you got that. Because I beat him in that heat. So
it's a long time to pay back.
Yeah, I paid him back 3 years later. So.
Well, thank you so much for the time. We'll look forward to that fire in Australia.
All right. Thanks, guys.
So, Pete, a lot to process there with what Kelly talked us through, both in his heat and where he's at right now with his state of competition. What is your reaction?
Well, a lot to process. Like you said, I mean, I'm trying to tidbits what about they had the detailed heat processing part of it, but I think the fire part, right, where he's talking about how it's hard for him to kind of find the fire. He's been at it a very long time. He's been the best at being able to find those little things to get himself motivated, whether it be equipment, whether world titles. I think, but this cut thing is new, right? So I think that's something he can be inspired to. Is like, oh yeah, let's put a little pressure on myself, going into Bells, going into Margaret River to make the cut. Like that's how you can get inspired. And then at that point, if he makes the cut, let's look at the Olympics. You know what I mean? And so kind of process the step. That's where he can light his fire if he's listening.
Some advice from Peter Mel to Kelly Slater if he's listening. Jesse, for you, what is the biggest takeaway you think from that?
I think what he said, it's very important because he's been doing this for so long. So it's very tough for him to just keep the fire. So I guess if he can just get his head in the right place and put some great heats together, he's obviously great at coming back with his back against the wall. He's the best at it. So we'll see what comes out.
Maybe the office job that he has to go to after all this is said and done, right? That might inspire him to keep him on tour.
Nothing like a 9 to 5 to make you really feel like I don't want to do this.
I know for a fact that guy is not going 9 to 5.
All right, well, let's get some more facts coming your way with the Surfline forecast for what we can expect for the next few days of this window. Peter Mel, why don't you talk us through what we're looking at and when we might see some more competition going?
Well, we're going to have lots of swells. Look at it. That thing's just spinning and spinning and spinning, and it's coming from the right direction, westerly direction. We will be dealing with tides. That's something that we can't change here. It's going to be big fluctuations, which means that the lineup is going to change. We saw it. We're going to have to work around low tides. We're going to have to deal with the bouncy high tides, but we've got surf. That's a lot the next 4 days. We're ending on Thursday's our last day, so we're going to have a bit of wind tomorrow. As we understand it, there's going to be a kind of a stronger wind. We'll be down here early to go see if we can get some heats done, because in the morning it's going to be lighter winds, so we'll take some of that, and ultimately I think we'll go into the lower tide, maybe have that time to take a break there and see what happens in the afternoon. But it's supposed to be pretty windy in the afternoon, and then it gets good again. Kelly had mentioned it in his interview that the day after tomorrow is going to be a good day, so let's fingers crossed that happens.
Well, what we saw today is that Supertubos is worth waiting for when she is going off the way that she did today. It is time for your top 5 moments from this day of competition. We're going to start with number 5, which is actually a lot of hard falls, we'll call them. Hard falls here. Top 5, we're going with Slater, Ezekiel Lau, Kyle Belly, all dealing with brutal conditions this morning.
Actually, it was pretty funny to listen from Kelly Slater saying that it was very sketchy out there. So if you hear that from Kelly, it was extremely scary, and I don't even want to deal with that.
Yeah, the visuals on it right there were pretty clear. It was radical out there, and we love it. I think the challenging the surfers with that type of surf is good. I think it's something that, as long as no one gets hurt, and no one did. We saw some broken boards towards the end of the back half of the day, but overall, it was a fun day to watch that.
How about some upsets as well? Joao Daru taking on Felipe Toledo and coming out victorious, a la 2018 when he did that here as well, Pete.
Yeah, that's right. And that was the way that Kelly was talking about, that he gifted to and it turned the heat for him. Joao Daru was able to get that, and he's so good out here. His best highlights on his championship tour results, final here at Peniche. So he loves this place. He loves Supertubos. And now getting through that round, he's a giant killer. He's not going to be able to keep points. He's literally just here for some cash and some experience.
Yes, and he's super experienced as well. He's a veteran, so he's been here before. He knows how to beat those guys.
Yes, he does. And speaking of knowing how to get a win when you need to, how about Sammy Pupo with the late heat win? His last 2 waves of his heat were the scores that he needed to take down Kanoa Igarashi.
Yes, comeback of the day for me. It almost felt like there was no coming back from that heat. Kanoa had an 8-point ride, and then he just comes back with 2 beautiful waves and really getting a lot of work done. Specifically on that closeout turn he had, it was huge, big air drop to land that, and yeah, great effort for Sammy.
He actually had 2 scores, the 5.83, right? And that was early, 13 points or something, 12.5 points. Against Sammy had nothing, and it was like nothing. He couldn't find a wave, and then all of a sudden, that momentum shift. At some point in the heat, it just switches over, and it connected with Sammy, and he did a great job, and he's got to love that. When an 8 gets dropped on you in the first minute of a heat, and you're able to fight yourself back into a heat win, that's a good one. I'll keep that momentum.
I had a little chat with him after that, and he actually said that he was kind of in disbelief. He didn't think he was actually going to be capable of, but he said, I kept my mind strong, and he was like, if I have the opportunity, I can make this happen, and that was a huge layback.
That was rad. That was a big moment in that heat.
So much of that is about staying present and focusing on what the ocean is going to give you next and trusting that something else is going to come. Today, Supertubos made it very easy to believe that something was going to happen for you because there were barrels everywhere for everybody who could find them.
So cool, because this wave here is, it's a very distinct bathymetry that happens from Nazare all the way down to Serra, and one of the reasons we get the barrels here is because of that Nazare Canyon. It actually feeds into and out in front of us here, and that's why we get all this energy, and it focuses on this beach. We got a great westerly direction swell, and Supertubos is the name, and that's why, because it does this.
I know, it's always fun to watch these barrels out here. So much energy. That was a very hard barrel to manage from Kai Belly, coming out through the whitewash. He's very good at doing that, by the way. He seems like he's constantly seems to pull that off.
Speaking of someone who pulled off something worth celebrating, let's talk about the perfect 10 from Callum Robson, our #1 moment of the day, and Jesse, deservedly so.
That was incredible. Like, people couldn't see us behind the scenes, but we're just jumping off our seats right here, and just the intensity of that wave and how late he was to the drop, that was amazing.
And think about the moment. It literally, he was behind, he was in the last 2 minutes of the heat, and so, get the opportunity. He had to put himself super far inside and go on a wave that looked unmakeable. It really did, and he just did everything to claw down that face, and that helped him to make that wave, and it was an incredible wave. The first 10 of the year.
First 10 of the year, and what a place to do it, what an environment to do it in, because Peniche was going off today. Everybody came out to support today, and hopefully we get that throughout the rest of the event as well. We are going to check back in tomorrow. Be sure to stay tuned to worldsurfleague.com to make sure that you find out if we're going to run tomorrow or not, but hopefully a lot more of what we saw today. Thank you so much for joining us on the Corona Post Show.
A beautiful sunrise greets the world's best surfers back in Europe for stop 3 on the championship tour, the MEO Rip Curl Portugal Pro. Today, well, the word could well be solid.
It is alive. It is solid 8 to 10 foot out there. Oh, look at this. Thiago just Hail Mary.
Oh, no.
Slater, beautiful snap.
Kanoa put himself in the tube, Pete.
Nice, and then comes out after the spit.
And Gabe Medina, the 3-time world champ. Here we go. Callum Robson digs into this one. Drops in, drains through this section. Spit and the exit for Callum Robson.
Are you kidding me?
Perfect 10 for Callum Robson.
Fallow drops out the sky, pulls in, he's traveling. Is he gonna come out? He does.
Here goes Slater. Finds the barrel, comes through that.
Samuel Pupo just jams one in a high line pocket, and then a big float hit from him, and he's fired up.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.